Happy Saturday, everyone. It's Marshall. Thanks for tuning into the live stream. It's a Saturday, December 8th. Hope you guys all had a great week and are having a good weekend. So today I'm going to take you guys through an oldie but a goodie. Somebody hit me up on Facebook last week and was asking about an old track of mine called Simon Says. And we're gonna make a remix pack for this. The gentleman was asking to do a remix of this, and I was like, yeah, cool, go ahead. So I'm gonna make a remix pack out of this. This actually was, when did I make this? Let's see here. So here is the bounced file here, and we can see the final version was published on January 14th, 2007. So this is like super old. This is right around the time I started amassing some hardware synths. At the time I had a V-Synth, like the original V-Synth, and I had Nordlead 2X, which is mostly what this track is. It's mostly Nordlead 2X and a little bit of V-Synth on there. And that was probably all that I had at the time. I think I had sold my SH201 by this point. And I don't recall. I think I actually made this track because I had just picked up the Nordlead 2X, and that's a cool synth. I don't have one anymore, but I do have Nord Wave. But they sound completely different. That was the thing about the Nords. They had the Nordlead 2X. Well, so they had the Nordlead 2, Nordlead 2X, then the Nordlead 3, then the Nord Wave, then the Nordlead 4, and then now the new one, which is, I think the Nordlead 4 is still out, and then the Nord 1A or A1 or something. I can't remember what the new one is. But they all sounded completely different. I remember the Nordlead 2X and the Nordlead 3 were like completely different sounding. So, and then the Nord Wave sounds different than those. Well, I'd say the Nord Wave is probably a little closer to the Nordlead 3, but I think it sounds better in general. But anyway, let's talk about this track. And actually, why don't I just play this for you to give you an idea of what this sounded like. And at the time, I was using ProTools 6.9 and some version of Reason, probably 4 or 5. I can't remember what version of Reason. And I was using Reason as a drum machine, and I'll kind of go through that here in a second. Let me play it for you. Let's turn this up. So, forgive the quality because it's an older track, but it's not terrible. And we get the nice slow fade out. Anyway, so yeah, it's a fairly simple tune. And again, in this track, I was just using mostly Nordlead 2X, and I utilized the individual outputs on that synth. And I remember at the time thinking that was like so cool that you could get multiple sounds playing at once and individually track them into your workstation. So the reason why I didn't play it from the DAW is because half of the plugins that were being utilized, the processing plugins, they are all missing. It looks like actually technically this wasn't even here. We can make that inactive, make that inactive. There's just some compression. But it looks like the only things that still work are the deverb. And none of the EQs work anymore because, again, this was from Pro Tools 6.9 originally. And I've opened this up, and I think this is 11. Let's see. Yeah, 11.3. And I have not upgraded to Pro Tools 12. I don't know that I will. Maybe at some point, but really the only reason why I keep it around is for compatibility for some of these older tracks. And you can see here I actually labeled stuff, so if I ever picked up a Nordlead 2X again, I could recreate the patches. Looks like single patch number 78 on MIDI channel 2. Then another, looks like patch number 80. Patch 349 on the V-Synth. And the original V-Synth I don't have hooked up at the moment, but we'll have to pull that up at some point. Then looks like patch number 76 for a pad. Some bass here, patch number 3. And patch number 3.26. Oh, these are that's 3.24. So probably bank 3, number 24. If I remember that being right. Yeah. Super drums refill. Bass drum number 339. So I used to keep notes. This is something that I wish Ableton kind of had, so that you could keep track of what's what. But yeah, I used to utilize the note section quite a bit in Pro Tools. But yeah, I'm gonna turn these compressors back on a little bit. And I mean, this is not going to sound exactly the same, but what we're going to do is we're going to basically bounce out the stems for each track, and then we'll have to do that for the percussion elements within Reason as well. So we make this active and make this active. It's still going to not sound right. I only spent like a couple minutes just making sure it would play back, and found the original RNS file for the percussion, because Reason, I'll bring that up, is doing all the percussion. So all I have in here is a bunch of yeah, Reason is just such a mess. Window detach rack. So we'll export all this as a MIDI file, and then I'll export all the individual samples. But basically that's all this is here, is a bunch of drum machines, and these were just routed into Pro Tools. Up here, if we flip this around, yep, just going to the main out. In later years, I would figure out how to route each one of these individually into its own track within Pro Tools or Ableton or whatnot. But yeah, so that's kind of how I used Reason after I picked up Pro Tools. I just used it as a drum machine, which worked really nice. I could import samples, do all my MIDI sequencing within Reason, and it would sync up in Pro Tools using Rewire. And then looks like down here is all the MIDI for the parts of the instruments, which we'll have to export that as well. Yeah, let me, I guess, just play a little bit of what this sounds like straight from Pro Tools. We have just the separate elements. So this is the bass line from the Nordlead 2X. That's the V-Synth lead. This is a pad. And I want to say that the transition effect is that pad as well, that I did some tweaking in real time too. Yeah, right there. That was a lot of fun. That was done in real time as it was tracking the audio, because I don't know that I knew how to use MIDI CC back then. So I would do stuff manually. This is that other lead. Let's go back. Waveform. So yeah, it's been years since I've been in Pro Tools, but I still remember, I think, how to use it for the most part for what we're going to do here today. And I do want to spend some time and remake this tune. I guess I should say remix and master it. Not necessarily remake it, but using the original sounds and making it sound a little more professional. Re-releasing it on my label. It was released on a label called Dirty Circuit Records back in '07, and I don't think that they are still operating. So I like to re-release it on mine as a part of my back catalog. What is this? Oh, this looks like that was my input at the time. But anyway, so yeah, let's take all my volume automation out of here. Delete. There you go. Because for some reason I decided to automate all of the volume levels, which I would. Which is not the end of the world, but for what we're going to do, we're going to shut all that off. So there's nothing on that one. Volume on that one. So this one, I don't know why I shut it off and turned it on a few times here. Because normally, for something like this, you can just use a fade. But again, this was back before I really knew what I was doing. So we'll delete that. There's nothing on that one. I might leave this curve on these, on the pads here, because these are going to fade in, looks like. Why don't I hear anything? Oh yeah, there we go. Is that why? What the fuck? Auto read, let's turn that off. There we go. So we'll leave that at 0. Yeah, let's go back and look at this. This may just be the transition. Okay, yeah, that's fine with me. I guess I'll just leave it like that. But I don't want to process any of the signal here. I guess we can leave the reverbs on, but I'll take all this other... This stuff doesn't matter because it's not really active anyway. Can I delete it? Delete. No, insert. No insert. No insert. One of these days, I still have my original audio interface. It was a M-Box of some kind. So I do want to preserve the original, and one of these days I'll install that on like an XP machine and use my ProTools 6.9 and see if it loads everything in as it should. But we'll just get all this crap out of here for right now. I'll do a save as, and we'll make a new folder and call it ProTools 11. So I named the track Simon Says because at the time I had my buddy that introduced me to this type of music, to trance and techno and stuff like that. He was kind of my guide, like, so I'd make stuff and I'd have him listen to it and he'd be like, oh, that sounds like shit or it sounds like crap. And I kind of took his advice and I made this track and just named it after him. And yeah, so that was pretty cool. Yeah, alright, so let's make these inactive. Okay. And so what we're going to do is we're just going to take all the stems from the start of the track. I guess we should well, let's see what happens if we go from 0. So at the start of the track, which is there. Okay, so we'll go from here to here. And we'll solo this one. I'll do a bounce to disk. Wait, can you do it with I can't remember in what version of Pro Tools, but you might be able to export right from here, but I can't remember how to do that, so we'll just I guess we'll do it the old school way. Simon Says Nord baseline. Oh, that's the other thing that's kind of weird. Why is this 24-bit? Let's make that 16-bit. Tracks. What was that wave? Bouncing. That's nice because it used to be that no matter what, it would have to play back the audio, and I can't remember what version of Pro Tools they changed that to where you didn't have to do that anymore. But so now in here, see, there's the original. Pro Tools 11. Where did that go to now? Alright, so we're gonna have to name this. Just say Nord Bass. I should have done that originally, but Nord Bass. Probably pretty quiet, but I can hear it. Alright, we'll do the next one here. And since what I normally do with these remix packs is I'll go like that, and then I'll do that. That way we get the same length for each one. And whoever uses this can just plop in the stems in order and they'll all line up. This is bass 2. Nord bass 2. bounce. And then once I've got this set up here, I'll upload this to a Dropbox, put a link in the description, so feel free to play around with this. I'll include the Pro Tools project file as well if anyone's interested in looking at that if you've got Pro Tools. Bass 2. Okay. And then this was my, I call that arpegg lead 1. Let's call it lead 1. Ooh, that doesn't look like it has any volume on it. Hold on one sec. Yeah, good thing we looked at that. Yo, what's up, guys? Just checking on the chat. We got Perfect. How's it going? And we got Simon, Mr. Magpie in the house. How you doing, man? All right, let's see this one here. That's funny. Is this Simon? But again, I already told the story about how this track was named. But buddy of mine named Simon was my mentor with electronic music. So, all right, let's bounce this one out. This is the V-Synth lead. V-Synth lead. Alright, let's see if this one came through. That's the wrong folder. Oh, I closed the freaking folder. Alright, so that sounded good. So this will be the last one. This is the pad. And then we'll have to break down the percussion. Hopefully the track is good so Simon won't be offended. Yeah, it's decent for how old it is. Again, it was made in 2007. And we're just making this remix pack because someone had asked to remix it. So I guess that means it's probably fairly good. But yeah. So let's see if that worked. Sounds like it. Okay, so now percussion time. Well, actually, maybe we should export all of our MIDI stuff here. Wait. Does it just do everything? It's been a long time since I've done this. Do we have to unmute these? I can't remember how to do this part. That might require a little bit of research on my part because I don't remember. Oops, we can change them to blocks. I wonder if it's because it's not. This was always a nightmare in ProTools. MIDI editing. I guess let's try unmuting them, and maybe that's all it is. Yeah, there we go. So yeah, so I'll set this as multi-track. And basically that'll allow anybody who wants to plop this into their DAW. It will separate all the instrument tracks for you. And actually, hold on, because I missed this one here. Export MIDI. And we'll make a folder, call it MIDI. Simon says MIDI. I got you there and perfect, yeah. No sweat. Okay, so now let's go over to Reason and we'll do the percussion elements. So with this, for the MIDI part, I think I can just export MIDI file. Okay, let's go into. This is in my NAS. That'll work. Alright, so then with the percussion, how are we going to do this part? I guess we can just solo each one. That's, oh yeah, so we'll have to do it through ProTools, which is fine. So we need to find the reason, that one. And again, we'll just do the same length. Is that gonna work? How's the disc? We'll call this kick. Yay, we got our kick drum. And this will be hi-hats. One. Hi-hats 2 bouncing out. Then some claps. I don't hear anything from that one. Maybe there's nothing in here? No, there is a clap. Oh, that's the crash. That's wrong. Let's rename that crash. Here's the claps. Okay, now we got the claps. Hey, what's up? Lead on the beat. I appreciate that, man. Yeah, just working on a remix pack for a really old track. Someone asked me they wanted to remix, so I'll make this publicly available for anyone who wants to mess around with it. Got here. So once I get all these made here, we'll open up an Ableton project and drop them in and see if everything works out. So we'll just call this snares 2. And that should be it. So, let me do a save as on this. It doesn't want me to save it there. Let's just do a save then. Okay. So, now we'll close out of here. Is that gonna... Oh yeah. So yeah, ProTools was all weird about... I don't want to save changes to that. Sure. Hey Cosmo, what's up, man? Oh. ProTools, this is probably an issue because I haven't updated mine, but it likes to lock up when you close it down. So let me just kill it here. Okay, and we'll fire up an Ableton project and we'll drop these in and see if I did a good job. Adding a USB port via 3.5mm jack. Doing this with our car stereos. So, probably not USB, but you could... Not through a 3.5mm jack anyway. So, I'm not familiar with Macs really, but you could... if you need to add USB ports, there is a way to send MIDI ports from another machine over a network and have those be accessible on another machine like a MacBook or whatever, but that's actually, I don't know if that's even available on Mac. There's a program called USB over IP, or yeah, USB over IP network or something like that. Where's mine at? this right here. This is USB over network, and basically it's a little server that runs on a secondary machine that I have, and I have access to all 4 USB ports on this computer. This computer is able to access these, even though they're not physically connected, you know. But in terms of adding physical USB ports to I wouldn't know for sure. Anyway, so yeah, let's fire up our. Oh, hey Cosmo, I want to let you know. I think that my Quantum is delayed again until probably January. So I was still waiting on that guy, but I've got your videos to keep me pumped. So keep putting those out for us as we wait for the Quantum to arrive. So now what we should be able to do, if I did this correctly, we'll go into our MIDI folder first of all. Oops. Simon Says, bounce files, MIDI, and we should be able to drag all this in here. And voila, we have all the MIDI sequences that were in Reason. So this looks like I probably just did a loop for this. For this one, the V-Synth lead, you can see the melody here. So I probably just recorded the loop and then cut those in audio in ProTools. Here's the bass line. And then we can drop in our percussion MIDI. And this will have all of the one-shot sequences for, looks like a kick drum, hi-hats. So in case you didn't want to utilize the original audio, you guys could play with this. Okay, cool. So the MIDI looks good. So let's clear all this shit out. And then let's drag our audio tracks in here. So, and we'll start with, come on. This will probably make me create some audio tracks, I'm guessing. Okay, kick. Can I create more than one track at a time? Maybe not. So kick, hi-hat. Hi-hat. Crash. Yeah, lead on the beat. You'd be surprised, actually. I think a lot of people... I mean, I use a combination nowadays of plug-in synthesizers versus hardware. But I really like the tactile feel on hardware synths. And they still make them, so I'm pretty sure people are still buying them. But the software is... There's a lot of really great software as well, so would never knock the VSTs. But there's also some things that are really difficult to emulate in software, like like an analog synthesizer is going to have a certain character that's not. I don't know that it's been done well enough yet in software, and still plenty of old fogies like myself that like having the hardware synths around. So let's see. Oh yeah, the other thing I need to do, I should have probably done this before I imported these, is I need to set my tempo. Oh, it looks like it grabbed the tempo from the MIDI file. So let's see if this will actually play anything. Go here. Looks like it lined it up all weird. Oh yeah, I've got a lot of hardware since there, Elite. Like a lot, like probably like 40-ish. So this does not line up, which is not the end of the world, but can I just drop this in here? Yeah, there we go. Why am I going through the hassle of doing all this other shit when I can just drop it in here? So I'm betting that what's not going to line up is the percussion, but maybe my synth stuff will all line up here. That's the wrong thing. Come in here and now what we should be able to do is drag these into arrangement view like this, and this should be a little easier to work with. Or maybe not. Anyway. I will admit I do not know how to use arrangement view hardly at all. Oh, it looks like it just dropped these all. Shit, that's why it's all weird. Anyway, this is definitely going to be usable for people. It may take a little bit of work, but I'll post this up on DropBox. I'll put some links in the description here once I get these up there. I'll put the ProTools project file in there. I'll put the Reason project file in there. I'll put the individual MIDI stem tracks that we just made and the individual musical instrument stems. So guys, have a blast with it. Do whatever you like. And just if you make something cool, let me know. You know, drop me an email or put a comment in the under the video here. Let me know what you came up with. I think that'd be a lot of fun. So anyways, I guess for those of you who have joined here a little later, basically I've been working on a remix pack of an old song. You can see this was last touched January 14th, 2007. It was called Simon Says, and went through this process because somebody was asking about doing a remix of it, and so this is why I decided to make a remix pack for everyone. So just so that you can hear what it actually sounded like originally, this is it here. And I'll play us out with this, and I'll see you guys on Monday for Moog One Monday. Have a good one, guys.